The Institute for Priestly Formation, located in Omaha, Nebraska, in partnership with Spirit Catholic Radio, is pleased to present the Lenten Reflection Series, The Journey to Jerusalem. Join Father Mark Toups as he helps us walk with Jesus on his journey to Jerusalem.
Holy Thursday.
My friends, welcome back to The Journey to Jerusalem, and welcome to the most sacred 3 days of the entire year, of our entire existence, known throughout the Church's 2,000-year history as the Triduum. Today we find ourselves in Holy Thursday and embracing the gift of what was it like for Jesus on the night before he died. Now, before we enter into Jesus' experience of the Passover, perhaps we can understand a little bit more about the Passover. The Passover ritual was so sacred that its very institution, God made clear instructions in Exodus chapter 12. He said that this shall be a perpetual institution. Failure to celebrate the Passover ritually properly would result in being cut off from the Israel community. Furthermore, the Seder meal, the Passover meal, had a script. God was the author of the script, and you never strayed from the script. In the Passover meal, God was the author, and only God could edit the Passover meal. Now, as a rabbi, Jesus' role was to lead his apostles in the Passover Seder meal. Thus, on Holy Thursday night, Jesus celebrated the Last Supper, the Passover ritual meal. In Matthew 26:26, Jesus takes the piece of unleavened bread, and as the rabbi leader of the Passover meal, Jesus is supposed to represent the sacred Seder text, recounting that God always provides for his people. Instead, in a surprising move, Jesus strays from the sacred Seder script, saying instead, "Take and eat. This is my body." Matthew 26:27. Immediately, the apostles knew that something extraordinary was happening. Immediately, the apostles would have known the sacred script, and all of a sudden, Jesus is moving from the sacred script. Immediately, they would have known something was happening, for only God could edit the script of the Passover meal. Now, in his great theology of the body, Pope John Paul II wrote that the body and it alone is capable of making visible what is invisible. He said that the body and it alone is capable of making visible the soul. Thus, in his commentary on the theology of the body, Christopher West writes that the body has a nuptial meaning because the body reveals man and woman's call to become a gift to one another, a gift fully realized in their one flesh union. In other words, a man's body doesn't make sense by itself. A woman's body doesn't make sense by itself. However, when those two bodies come together in the nuptial act within marriage, there we see the meaning of the body. The body was made for communion, nuptial communion. And as the body, and it alone, makes visible the invisible, the nuptial act reveals to us the spiritual reality in the physical body. You and I were made for communion, intimate, nuptial communion. Now, we saw in Isaiah and in most of the Old Testament writings about the Messiah that Israel was awaiting the bridegroom Messiah, who has come for his bride, which is the church. Jesus longs for the fullness of a marriage with humanity, and just as marriage reaches its apex when two bodies join nuptial communion, our heavenly marriage with Jesus reaches its apex when our risen bodies are joined with his in heaven. Now, John Paul II, when he wrote on the dignity of marriage, writes that Christ is the bridegroom given because he has given himself. His body has been given. His blood has been poured out. The sincere gift contained in the sacrifice of the cross gives definitive prominence to the spousal meaning of God's love. As the Redeemer of the world, Christ is the bridegroom of the church. The Eucharist, the sacrament of our redemption, is the sacrament of the bridegroom and the bride. End quote. Blessed John Paul II, one of the great, brilliant doctors of the church, said that the Eucharist is a sacrament of the bridegroom and the bride. So, when Jesus strays from the sacred Passover script and institutes the Eucharist, so that we might receive his body now on earth, Jesus gives his body to us in the Eucharist and is in a sense saying that he desires for his body to enter our body. Jesus wants a one flesh union with us now. Jesus desires nuptial communion now. The Eucharist is the real, true, transubstantiated, absolute presence of Jesus Christ, and it was given to us on this Holy Thursday as a nuptial communion between us, the bride, and Jesus, the bridegroom. Now that is love. That is gift. That is everything. Whether or not you've ever looked at the Eucharist through the lens of nuptial communion, I want you to go to Mass tonight in your parish for Holy Thursday. Whether you've ever been to the Holy Thursday Mass or not, receive the sacred gift of the ancient church tonight. Go to Mass tonight on Holy Thursday. Receive the Eucharist in your body. Receive Jesus in your body. Receive nuptial communion in your body. For your prayer today, I invite you to pray with Matthew 26 to 29. Be in the upper room. See it unfolding. Let yourself be around that Last Supper experience. Look at Jesus as he gives us the Eucharist. Look at him as he says, "This is my body." God bless you.
To listen to today's reflection again, or to order a copy of the Journey to Jerusalem booklet with the daily readings, the website is www.priestlyformation.org. Join Father Mark Toups during this Lenten season as he helps us walk with Jesus on his journey to Jerusalem.